World War I was the first major war where symptoms of PTSD and other post-war effects were widely documented, though at the time it was referred to as shell shock. This disconnect that people felt after World War I was felt by Hemingway, as he himself fought in Europe during the war. In his short story, Soldier's Home, Hemingway reveals the agonizing effects of war and the emotional numbness that it leaves with people through Krebs' minimalist dialogue towards his family and the falsehood he begins to tell those around him. The lies eventually lose their appeal as he resents the war, reflecting his frustration with those around him who cannot understand the emotional scars of war, leading to him alienating himself. Immediately upon returning home, he feels unwanted, no longer important because of all those who arrived back before him, telling exaggerated stories that made people no longer wish to hear the boring truth. The town is portrayed as disconnected or out of touch with reality, as even though Krebs returned within a year of the war being over, the town acted as though he came back years after the war was over. This isolating effect that the town forces on Krebs leads to a sense of detachment for him and the need to lie to feel wanted by those around him. In response to the town's lack of enthusiasm, Krebs begins to fabricate his own story, something he does for a brief period. His quick distaste for telling war stories is attributed to the emotional toll that his actions during the war have left on him. The sudden realization that he committed atrocities led him to hating telling stories to other people. The only relief he got was talking to other soldiers, but even this quickly alienated him as he realized he was putting on a performance talking to them, saying, fell into the easy pose of the old soldier among other soldiers, conforming back to being a soldier when he is no longer one. By feeling the need to lie to fit into either one of his worlds, Krebs is experiencing profound alienation, as he has come to realize the war cost him his connection to both lives, the war and his place back home. He has conformed to life as a viewer, watching the world rather than engaging in it. He observes the girls in town but never talks to them, as the world they were in was not the world he was in. This realization that Krebs no longer has a place in his own town makes it clear to him that he will never once again feel connected to the things he was once drawn into. Krebs' inability to talk to girls in his town stems from his fear of having to talk about himself, highlighting his ongoing commitment to not revealing anything about his life and to remain alone. This shift from wanting someone to listen to the things he experienced during the war to the point he is at now shows that when returning soldiers aren't giving adequate support from the community, it leads them to isolation and emotional numbness, as it becomes easier for them to live their lives thinking no one cares about them. Inadequate support towards people returning from military service can even be seen today in modern times, as veterans returning home from serving their country in the U.S. face increased risk of homelessness. When you look specifically within the numbers of the military, combat exposure and PTSD are associated with higher risk of homelessness. He converses with his sister, as she mentions that he is her boo, which means a person's boyfriend or male admirer. Hemingway uses the strong emotional word boo to highlight the differences between someone who's excessively doting and Krebs' contrasting emotional detachment. This contrasting effect is further strengthened by Krebs' responses, which all consist of one or two words, such as you bet, sure, uh-huh, or maybe. His minimalist dialogue shows how deeply attached he has become, revealing a man who can no longer give any sort of emotional warmth that is more than the bare minimum of a response. His sister's response of then repeatedly asking him if he loves her is Hemingway's way of showing how even though people try to reach out to those who went through traumatic experiences, once they don't feel heard, they never bother trying to feel heard again. Motherly love is often considered one of the strongest kinds of love. As such, Krebs' mother was the last one in the story who tried to help him. She starts by trying to relate to him, speaking on how she knows, I know the temptations you must have been exposed to. Krebs ignores her, however, as he already feels too alienated, and her trying to relate the experience that he had in the war to others doesn't help him, as his own personal experiences being ignored and having to lie to be like everyone else is what made him feel alienated in the first place. Krebs' emotional numbness peaks when his mother asks if he loves her, and he says,
No. I don't love anybody.
After she starts crying, he says he doesn't mean it, but ends the story by saying he had felt sorry for his mother and she had made him lie. This final act of defiance towards his mom and his subsequent decision to leave home forever leaves no room of hope for him coming back to society and cements his alienation due to his emotional numbness. Hemingway's story is used as a lesson to show how each person's experience in war is different, and that even if an experience is considered more boring than others, it doesn't mean that person telling the story is to be ignored.